Neil, do you want to start and give us a bit of a sort of background as to you as an author, if that's okay?
Yeah, I mean, I suppose when it relates to cricket, I mean, I've been writing now for a number of years. I wrote this, I published this 4 years ago, this particular book. But I guess my background around cricket, as you know, my older brother played professional cricket, so I grew up in the 80s with Botham and Lamb and Gower. Surrounded myself with, playing sort of county at the age of under 11, the likes of Rampakash, playing for Middlesex School. So, coming across all these characters.
What made you think of the title of the book?
Yeah, it was a good question. The underlying theme is about being an outsider. He's not accepted within a group, and obviously the most. I look through a lot of. There's lots of different meanings and sayings in cricket, and of course one of them is outside edge. When you get the outside edge and get caught in the slips. So there's the play on the cricket term, and also this idea of being on the outside, on the edge of things. So it kind of works. In fact, when I realised I'd put in outside edge, there was a series some years ago. In fact, it was I think Timothy Spall was in it,
Yeah,
and it was
Brendan, was it? I remember watching that on a Thursday night, actually.
Yeah.
Sorry, so boys, before your time.
It was a long time ago, but that's just one of those things. But that's essentially it. It's using the term. And my second book is Final Chance, so that's again, a play on, it's his final chance in a sense, but also, the idea of a chance. You get that in cricket, so it's using terminology.
Mm-hmm. No,
good question.
Yeah. What about you, Rehan? Have you got any sort of questions for Neil?
I've got a question. At the start of the book, why didn't you bring the characters in gradually? Like it felt like something exciting was happening at the start. It felt like it's something exciting.
It's interesting you say about the start, because I'm not happy about the start. I've looked at the start many times. I thought, can I start it differently? Because it's quite aggressive, don't you think? For a cricket match, for it to start a fight on cricket.
Yeah.
Say that again, Rehan. Sorry,
I didn't get that.
It felt like characters that you introduced, they're like doing something like that.
Yeah, no. I think you're right. I mean, there was a number of. I wanted to bring in some kind of action, often to try and draw you in, and obviously, the cricket itself. I was always a bit not sure about the aggressive stance, but of course, as you read the book later,
it was entertaining. The aggressive start.
Yeah. So the second book's not quite so, but it's still tinged with a bit of violence, but not to that extent. It's a little bit more believable in the sense the second book you're drawn in through the action of cricket, but it's just something that happens in cricket, not necessarily something out of turn. But yeah, no, I take your point. Yeah, so
go on. We'll go to Dwayne. I've got a question at the end, but one of the boys may ask it, so I don't want to steal their thunder. Dwayne, have you got any questions for Neil?
What were you going for the character of Coach Riley?
To be honest, again, there's this idea of the fact that the coach, he was West Indian. He kind of related to Lewis in the sense that he felt a little bit of an outsider, because if you can think about the setting, you look at the rest of the boys are kind of white middle class. So, Coach Riley and Lewis to some extent would stand out. So they were kindred spirits. So the idea that they would kind of, he would take him under his wing to help him. There was a sense of camaraderie. He kind of understood his problems, because later on in the storyline, book 3, Coach Riley comes back in. So he doesn't just go away after book 1. He's always there to help him. bit like the Harry Potter thing. You've always got somebody. You don't want to be helped all the time. As an author, you want the main character to work it out himself. But sometimes you need people around you to, like anything, you know, if you want to do well at a sport, you do need people that can help you, you know, sort of to look up to. So that's the kind of driver for that. Just on the practice when they first met and they were outside and he just had a tennis ball and a stump. Now that's based on a bit of reality, because when I was younger, we used to go into the recreation ground, and there was a coach called Frank Dunnett, and he used to get everyone. We used to all turn up. There was about 20 of us. We'd turn up with just our bats, and he would say, right, everyone get in a circle, and we'd practice the shots with no ball. And we'd practice for a good half an hour. We'd have to hold the forward defensive, have to hold the drive, the back foot. So that's a bit based on my own experience growing up, you know, at the age of 10. And that's probably learned the basics. Because if you think about it, cricket's about balance. It's about getting your feet right, getting your head to move in the right direction. That taught me a lot without a ball.
If you went to a sort of into an environment, say it was a cricket club, and you weren't sort of, you didn't feel welcomed and you sort of looked down on, I mean, you could react in two ways. Would you sort of walk away and not want to come back, or would you say, look, I'm going to prove these people wrong?
Yeah, I'd prove them wrong.
Okay, good stuff. What about you, Pandora?
Prove them wrong and let them know who I am. Show them. Get friendly with them.
So you'd make the effort to say, look, I'm
Yeah.
here to stay, and you know, I want to get on here.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. That's good. It was interesting, just going back to the Coach Riley thing that Dwen asked, which is a great question, Neil. We have 3 sessions within our Wicketz session in Old Trafford, so we have sort of going up in age groups, and these boys are from the older session. And a couple of the lads here have helped out of the younger session. So it was interesting that Coach Riley was sort of a main character there as a positive role model and a positive figure in the book. And hopefully it's sort of shown the boys that, you know, this is, you know, how important a coach is, or a volunteer is to a younger person. Because I know from my experience, I still, the most important people for me when I was young, now I've played cricket all my life, are the people that showed me the basics of the game right when I was 8 years old. So that experience with at the start has it's a massive effect on you. Before we sort of wrap things up, has anyone got any sort of questions for Neil? Anything you'd like to ask him? Not necessarily about the book, just about being. I mean, some of you might have aspirations to do some writing in the future about being an author. Has anyone sort of got any questions on that?
Have you ever felt like Lucy's brothers getting blamed for doing something that you haven't done? Like Lucy's brothers got blamed for starting a fire?
Yeah, well, I was one of the middle brothers. I had 2 other brothers, so I was the middle one. So I was always the one that got blamed. I grew up like that, so, and I always got ignored. So, you know, when you're the middle brother, you just tend to be ignored. But yeah, I think generally when it comes to like writing something, you need kind of bold characters in a book to make it a little bit more depth to the book, to make it more interesting. So certainly Charlie and Walter are quite interesting, and they'll carry it on in book 2, book 3. They cause havoc.
Look forward to reading that. Definitely. I'm sure we can do a review on that. If there's no more questions, I just want to say, well, one thing I was going to say as well, Neil. I mean, personally, I've got a passion for sort of journalism, and when I was younger, I always thought about being a sports journalist, but I was never really pushed down that sort of avenue, really. So obviously, I didn't do it. I've done a bit of amateur stuff, but nothing sort of as a career. I guess you feel really lucky to be an author and writing about something you're passionate about and you love. And I suppose it's a lesson for anyone, including the boys here, that if you're really passionate about something, you can achieve it.
Absolutely. You know, I grew up in a sporting family. Both my dad played professional football, my brother played professional cricket, surrounded by people who are positive and they want to strive and do well. But at the same time, when I look back, they totally passionate. They totally enjoyed the sport, even when they weren't playing, even while watching. You know, the passion they showed. So I think, you know, whether you'll be able to play, I say to my son, if you can't, no, but not everyone can be a professional, but you can be a part of that game. Whether it's a leader, coach, you can write about it. You can be involved at any point in the game. An umpire. You know, there's so many different things. A scorer. I scored. I used to love scoring. When I was like 12, I used to go to the county ground and I'd do the boards, you know, the big board. It was quite scary because if they get stuck in the old days, it'd be, you know, you're yanking the chain upstairs and sometimes they get stuck on, and you're told very quickly by some of the older people down in the crowd, you know, the score's not right, get the score right. So anyway, but that's completely different. But I just think, yeah, be involved in the game, you know, and just stay involved. Absolutely.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Right, boys. I'm just going to stay online with Neil for a quick chat. So I'm going to remove you from the chat. But thanks very much for giving up your time today, and thank you for reading the book and the questions. And hopefully we can do this again with another of Neil's fantastic books. Okay. Cheers, boys.
Thank you. Thank you for doing it. I really appreciate it. And put a review on Amazon if you need to.
There you go.